Welcome to Microchip Makers. My name is Sam, and I'm a silicon wafer. I'm made up of small silicon chips all connected on this disk, and all of that together makes a wafer. Today we'll be going through the process of how chips are made. Usually this process takes a few months, but we will be able to speed things up a bit. Please read the controls, then press the button, and let's get started. Where do you find silicon? Well, silicon is all around you, actually. Normal sand is made up of around 50% silicon, with the sand you see around you being silica sand, which is 80 to 95% silicon. Silica sand is the base ingredient for all silicon chips. Grab the bucket in front of you using the side grip button and go fill it up using the sand conveyor belt. Great job! Now that we have got the sand, let's go to the chip fab. Whoa! You can't enter the fab like that! You gotta go through the clean room first. Use the side grip button to equip some shoe covers and gloves, then proceed to the next room. Great, now we will blow all the dust off of you as you enter the next room. Now go up to the open locker and equip the outfit we call a bunny suit. We do this process because if a single speck of dust gets on the chips, they are ruined. Okay, now proceed into the fab. Welcome to the chip fab. Now grab the sand bucket off the belt and pour some of the sand into the crucible to melt it down into pure silicon. Usually all of this is automated using machines, but for learning purposes, we will be getting hands-on with the process. When the sand is melted down with carbon, it binds with the oxygen content of the sand to create carbon dioxide gas. After this process, the silicon is 99% pure. But even with that purity, it's not enough to be used in chips, so the mix goes through chemical treatment with hydrogen chloride gas, which reacts to the impurities in the mix. The result is 99.99999% purity. Now pick up the silicon seed crystal rod from the table and slowly dip it into the molten silicon and pull out a completed silicon boule. This process is the most common method for making silicon wafers. Now we will cut the pure silicon boule into wafers about 1 millimeter thick. If it were any thinner, it would not survive the rest of the process. Place the boule onto the cutting machine tray and press the button. Perfect. Go grab a cut-up wafer, and let's go to a different part of the factory. Next, we need to do what is called lapping, which is basically polishing the wafer's rough edges and face till it's smooth using a bunch of different acids. So put the wafer on the lapping machine tray and press the button. Okay, grab the wafer from the machine, and now it is time for a process called photolithography. This is the process of embedding circuit patterns to the surface of the wafer. It creates all the architecture to make the silicon into actual chips. For this process, because it's so small and extremely complex, let's watch the monitor to see a simplified version of what is happening. The process begins by coating the wafer with a photoresist, an ultraviolet sensitive solution that hardens with light exposure. After that, a stencil of the circuit pattern is overlaid on top of the wafer and is burnt in using ultraviolet light. This process is done many times for many different things. Then things start to get more complicated. So after the circuit patterns are etched onto the wafer using the photolithography method, metals like copper are filled into the patterns etched in the silicon. These patterns are called logic gates and handle the computing logic for the chip. For each gate, there's a binary 1 or 0 output when electricity flows through it, or even simpler, a true or false value for each logic gate. That is the basics of how computer processing works. After all that, the wafer is sliced up into individual chips. Once separated, they still need to be packaged up between a heat spreader and substrate. This is needed so the chips do not overheat and so that they are able to communicate with the rest of the compute systems they will be going into. Now that the chips are done, it's time to put them in stuff. Press the button to start the conveyor belt. Electronics will come down the belt, so try to place the chips from the table into them before they are packaged into boxes. Well, I hope you learned a little bit about silicon chips. These chips are used in so many different objects we interact with daily that we don't even think about. There's so much more that we did not even have time to cover about this process. If you want to learn more, check out the Institute for Microelectronics Education and Research at Boise State University. I will see you next time.